Hello, Namaste. I am Ravi Kumar, RSS Sangha Pracharak. I am going to speak today about India's contribution in medical science. Our ancient people had said, Arogyam Paramam Bhagyam, Swasthyam Sarvartha Sadhanam. Good health is the greatest blessing, and health is the means for achieving everything. At the outset, I'd like to salute all the doctors and nurses and police force, government servants who have been working tirelessly at the risk of their own lives during this pandemic corona. Some people name come to our night. Dr. Bila Rajesh, the Health Secretary of Tamil Nadu, has been doing wonderful work. Another such IAS lady is Tina Dabi, the ruthless containment of model in Bhilwadi district. This 26-year-old IAS officer is explained. She was first rank in UPSC in 2015, and she is the first Dalit to rank number 1. What a great achievement. Then Sri Jana Gumalla. Just see what she has done. Sri Jana gave birth to a child, and the 22 days old child, she was entitled for 6 months maternity leave, but she spoke to the chief minister, cancelled her leave, and with that 22-day-old son in her arms, she has been working in the office for this COVID. What a great lady. She is also an IAS officer. She is the commissioner of the Greater Visakhapatnam Municipal Corporation. We salute such great ladies. Then there is one Rajeshwari, Deputy Commissioner of Dumka, Jharkhand, and she has been checking the market areas with her drones and telling the public, boosting the public morale through using social media to host online competitions in cooking, fancy dress, mehendi, etc., so that the morale of the tribal people is kept high. Now, several Indian pharma companies are in the race to develop COVID-19 vaccine, and we wish them all the best. From America, we have excellent news. Dr. Uma Rani Manjunath. She has done exemplary work during this corona period, and therefore in the city of Cincinnati, the local mayor, the police commissioner, and 100 various prominent people, they told her that we will be coming right in front of your house. We will stop for a minute. We will salute you one after one behind the other. 100 cars came to her house, saluted her, and then they mass passed. 100 salutations to Uma Rani Manjunath. She is from Mysore. I add my salute to her. So we really salute such great, brave Indian women. Sir K.T. Thomas, not sir, but K.T. Thomas, a Supreme Court advocate, said that we all sleep peacefully at night because of 4 things that is guaranteed. One is the army, which protects our country from foreign aggression. Second is the constitution that gives equality to all the people. Then we have democracy, in which every 5 years elections are held, and whoever wins the election, they come to power. And fourth, he rates RSS as the 4th pillar that is saving this country. BBC was asked once, which is the largest youth organization in the world. They said that we don't have all the statistics in front of us, but from whatever knowledge we have, I can say that Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is the largest youth organization in the world. Nehru In the year 1963, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in the year 1963, Republic Parade, Day Parade, asked RSS to join the military as the only NGO that was asked to join the military parade. So these are all some interesting things about RSS. Now coming back to our subject of health science, our ancient Rishi Munis have also given a slogan, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya. That is, that everyone be free from, everyone be happy, and everyone be free from disease. In Tamil they say, Inbame Shulga, Ellorum Valga. So, everyone should be happy and peaceful. That is the slogan. That is what our ancient people have wished for the welfare of the world. Now, when we look at the chronology, the first person who taught medical science to human beings was Vaidyanath, that is Lord Shiva. According to Hindu beliefs, the demon king Ravana worshipped Lord Shiva to get boons that he later used to wreak havoc in the world. Ravana offered his 10 heads, one after another, to Lord Shiva as a sacrifice. Pleased with this, Shiva descended to cure Ravana, who was injured. As he acted as a doctor, he is referred to as Vaidya. Therefore, he is called Vaidyanath, a doctor. Then we have the avatar Vishnu. One of the avatars of Vishnu is called Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari is the Hindu god of medicine and an avatar of Lord Vishnu. He is mentioned in the Puranas as the god of Ayurveda. He, during the Samudra Manthan, rose from the ocean of milk with the nectar of immortality. It is common practice in Hinduism for worshippers to pray to Dhanvantari, seeking his blessings for sound health for themselves and or for others, especially on Dhanteras or Dhanvantari Trayodashi day. The Indian government has declared this Dhanvantari Trayodashi day as National Ayurveda Day. Then we have the Ashwini Kumars. They are twin Vedic gods of medicine. They are described as youthful, divine twin horsemen in Rigveda, traveling in a chariot drawn by horses that never become tired. They are known for rescuing people and for aiding people who are in distress. Then we come to Charaka. Charak is the author of Charak Samhita. He lived before Christ. The age is again questionable. Some say 1000 years before Christ, some say 100 years before BCE, that is before the Common Era. He was one of the principal contributors to Ayurveda, a system of medicine and lifestyle developed in ancient India. He is known as the compiler of editor of the medical treatise entitled Charak Samhita. So he compiled all the knowledge that existed before him into this book called Charak Samhita. Charaka has been identified as a native of Kashmir. The treatise that Charaka compiled is one of the foundational treatises of classical Indian medicine. Not only Indian, the entire world owes a lot to him. Great people like Pythagoras traveled to India to mathematics and our transmigration of the soul, that is rebirth. All this went from India to Greece about 600 BCE. So that means that Charaka must have existed even before 600 BCE. Yeah, we also have what is called Siddha medicine. Especially in Tamil Nadu, they have Siddha medicine. The person who given credit for this is Agastya Muni, again a Vedic rishi, and from so and then in 18 lineage from starting from Agastya Muni, 18 great doctors, for example, Bogar or Tirumular also were one of them. It is said that Bogar in the year 500 BCE left from Palani in Tamil Nadu, went all the way to China to spread medicine, meditation, and various Hindu cultural symbols, including our calendar. Bogar's one of the Bogar's disciples is supposed to be was a Chinese Lao Tse, and Lao Tse's principle is yin and yang. You can see two fishes, one at the tail of the other. This symbol you can see in ancient Tamil temples, which means the symbol yin and yang, the twin fish also went from India, South India to China. Then when we come to surgery, the other part of medicine, we remember Sushruta. Again 1000 BC, and Sushruta performed several plastic surgeries and plastic surgeries. Generally, in the textbook, it will be said that in modern textbooks on medicine, they will say plastic surgery is the wonder invention of the 20th century. And corollary, somewhere small letters, they will say plastic surgery was practiced in India 3000 years before. And still they claim that it is the wonder invention of 20th century. Now, many of the knowledge of our medicine went to Europe step by step through various people. Our ancient book, there is one is Rig Veda, then Atharva Veda, then Bheda Samhita. All these things talk of various cures for various diseases, including cure for leprosy. In Bheda Samhita, a very interesting question is asked. It is said that the child grows in the womb of the mother for 10 months. The question is, does the child eat, drink, or not? Because it is growing from a small fetus, it is taking shape and slowly hands and legs are formed. So how does it grow if it doesn't eat? Does he eat or not? And later on, the guru is asking the question and the students give various answers. Then finally, guru concludes, the child does not eat or drink in the way we do. If he is eating with his mouth, then he will also effecate, and the fecus matter that falls into the womb of the mother will poison her and she will die. Therefore, the child does not eat in this way. But still the child is growing. How does it grow? It is because of the umbilical cord, by which the digested food in the form of blood is given to the child. The oxygen that flows through the blood and various other vitamins that flow through the blood helps the child to grow. Another question asks, while the child is growing in the womb of the mother, does the child stand vertically with the head up and the leg down, or does it stand inversely with the head down and the legs up? Again, the students are giving various answers. Finally, the teacher tells, neither it is standing vertically or it is standing upside down. It is in a sleeping posture with hands and legs clinging to each other. Because if the child is standing upside down with the head down for 9 months, he will die. Nobody can do Shirasasana for more than 10 minutes because blood will be pumping into the head and that will burst. So he doesn't stand upside down. Only while coming out of the womb into this world, he takes that upside down posture. So that is ruled out inside the womb. Then does he stand vertically up? That is also ruled out because in that case his hands and legs will be free to move. The mother will not be able to bear and she will die of that. Her womb will be broken to pieces. So he doesn't stand up. All he does is He lies and with the hands and legs clinging to each other. Therefore, the pain to the mother is much lesser. Now, all these things are described in the ancient book Bhela Samhita. Then we come to one more way of curing people, that is yoga. Patanjali is credited with this, and yoga go around the world. Today, yoga is common. In the year 2014, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to United Nations, he appealed on 23rd of September 2014 that yoga is becoming popular all over the world, and therefore a day must be given for yoga. The whole world then a voting was taking place. Whole world voted for yoga. There are 193 countries. 177 countries unanimously said we want yoga, and 21st of June every year is called International Yoga Day. Now, question is, how does yoga become so popular all over the world? Before Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, not a single government in India, state or center, ever cared a single naye paise for yoga, never promoted it. And the churches and the Muslim mullahs are dead against yogasana. When the whole world is against yoga, and yet yoga has become so popular, why? That is the question asked by so many international magazines, including Time magazine in its cover story. And then Time magazine writes the answer. The answer is yoga works. Anybody who has practiced yoga even for 5 minutes in his lifetime, he is convinced that yoga is very useful to him, and he becomes an ambassador of yoga. That is why we have so many sports personalities becoming yoga ambassadors. Very big icons like Madonna, they propagate yoga. Even at the age of 50 and 60, they look very young, and they are able to dance to the music, fast music, all because of yoga. Football players, world renowned football players, they are ambassadors of yoga. But they are all of recent origin. Who took yoga to the world? The first name is Tirumalacharya of Mysore, and his brother-in-law is Dr. B.K.S. Iyengar. World-renowned personality is B.K.S. Iyengar, but B.K.S. Iyengar learned from Tirumalacharya. In those days, this I am telling of 18, a girl was born in Russia. She was of Hungary origin. She was born in the 19th century, 1890s. Then in the year 1912, there was a big revolution in Russia, and they started killing all foreigners. So these Hungarians ran away from Russia and came to Hungary. In Hungary, she happened to read, she was a great dancer of European dancers, but she came to know there is something called Bharatanatyam. So she came all the way to India to learn Bharatanatyam. At that time, she came to know about Yogasana. So she learned Yogasana. For that, she had to stay in India for a long time. So she applied to the Hungary ambassador who was in Delhi. She told that, please give me permission, talk to somebody here so that I can stay here and learn. So he talked to Mysore Maharaja. Mysore Maharaja spoke to Tirumalacharya, and so she learned Yogasana from Tirumalacharya. In the meantime, she got married to this ambassador. The ambassador was transferred from India to China. So she went from India to China. Being the wife of an ambassador, she had access to all the ambassadors in Beijing. Not only that, she had access to, at that time, Beijing had a king. Communism had not set in. I'm telling in the year 1915, 16, etc. So she had access to the palace. She was able to talk to the royal family of China. So she started teaching yoga to all the wives of the ambassadors, the family ambassadors. So in China, she propagated yogasan all over the world because the different ambassadors were there. Then she also was the Chinese people and very, very prominent people. So this is how yogasan started going, spreading to various countries. We should not forget her name. Her name is Eugene Peterson, but she was so much enamored by the Hindu way of life, not only yogasan, but various other things. She had learned Bharatanatyam also. She had learned meditation. She migrated from Hungary because again Hungary was becoming a communist country. She went from there to United States, applied for a passport, and in her passport her name is Indira Devi. She's also unique because she was born in the year 1890s and she lived for nearly 105 years. So she died in the year 2002. So from 1897, so she lived in the 19th century, the whole of 20th century, and then a few years in the 21st century. Very rarely you will come across persons who have lived for 3 centuries. So that is a great lady. She has yoga was her mission and she took yoga far and wide. Till the last day of her life also she was practicing yoga. So this is Indra Devi. Then we come to various mudras. In our various icons, you would have seen Lord Buddha sitting like this with his hands like this. This is all called mudra. When he keeps this hand on his palm like this is called Shanti Mudra. By touching these fingers at different places like this, like this, like this, or different ways they are touching, you are able to control the blood circulation into your body and thereby you are able to give treatment to your wounded organs for different ailments. You have different mudras by which you can cure yourself. These mudras you can do while you are traveling in the train or in the bus, etc. If you don't want to show your fingers, you can put your hands inside your pocket and still keep this mudra, whatever mudra is needed for your particular ailment. In that mudra, you can be there for hours together, and this way you are able to cure yourself. So this is also a contribution of Bharat to health. Then there is something called Marma. This Marma Chikitsa, you might have seen a movie in which Kamal Hassan was acting. The movie in Tamil was called Indian. It was dubbed into Hindi. There are two movies in India, Hindi, both are called Indian. One has Dharmendra's son as the hero. I'm not talking about that. This in which Kamal Hassan is the hero. There, what he does is he touches people at some body and he presses in such a way that they become unconscious. This is an ancient practice. Whenever some tooth operation has to be performed, whenever some surgical operations are to be performed, the pain is unbearable. So you have to make the patient go into unconscious state. For this, Marmakala was invented, and by touching various nerves in the body, you are able to make the person become unconscious for a period of time. And then the performance of the operation is done. It is like anesthesia. So we can see this. We had this Marmakala. It's also part of your ancient gift to the world in the health science. Then we come to 1300 BCE in our chronology. In the year 1300 BCE, if you go into Arabia, who were living in Arabia, what was the kingdom? You come across two kingdoms. One is called the Mitanni kingdom and another is called the Hittite kingdom. Both of them were language called Hurrian language. This Hurrian language is full of Sanskrit words. Ekam, Dva, Trayo, Pancham, etc. And they were used to worship Agni, Indra, etc. Ashwini Kumars, they used to worship. Now, as I had told you, Ashwini Kumars were twins who were the doctors of the Devatas. So they were also doctors, physicians, and they were very good in chariot or horse races. They had the face of the horse. Now, if you see Mitanni Samrajya and Hittite Samrajya, you come across a person called Kikkuli. This person, Kikkuli, whatever he has taught about how to use the horses, how to construct chariots, and how when the horses fall down, how to treat the horses, all are written in Hurrian, in their Hurrian language, which is very close to Sanskrit, all 1300 to 1800 BCE, and these are all inscribed in various stones there. So these the Australian masters, and they have said that the Aryans were ruling in this country. The names of various kings that ruled Mitanni Samrajya are all mentioned. They were all Sanskrit-based Aryan names. So Priyamvada, for example, one of the king's name. So we know that there were Aryans. They were worshippers of Ashwini Kumar. Ashwini Kumars were the doctors, physicians of the other world, that is heavenly people, and their book was available. The original book was available in ancient Arabic language. So we can see that we have given this knowledge to Hittites and Mitannis too quickly, and veterinary science had gone there. From there, it went to the Egyptian civilization, and today we can see that in Arabia, even today we can see there is a particular community of people called Yazidis. They live in Iraq, and they are being massacred by the ISIS troops, because these Yazidis, though their names will be Abdul Rahman like any other Arabs, but they worship Lord Kartikeya. They worship Lord, many of the Hindu, especially Tamil gods, and they worship peacock, they worship snake gods, and their temple will be similar to the Indian temple, South Indian temple. So because they worship deities, the ISI wants to kill them. These people are called Yazidis. These Yazidis were the forerunners of present day, the Muslims of Arabia. So once upon a time, all the Arabs were also practicing Hinduism, also practicing Indian medical system is seen from this. Then we'll go 500 BCE. In the year 500 BCE, Bogar, a great Tamil Siddha doctor, went from here to China. I mentioned earlier, he taught them martial arts, he taught them medical science, and one of his disciples was Lao Tse. He gave them the symbol yin and yang. Then we come to 10th after, that is Common Era. At that time, a great lady, young girl from Tamil Nadu. We have known, some people might be knowing, in Tamil Nadu there was a great Mahasadhvi called Kannagi. Kannagi did not have any child. Therefore, her husband Kovalan married another lady, and through her he got one daughter. Name of her is Mani Megalai. This Mani Megalai, when she comes of age, at the age of 18, she was very accomplished, she was very beautiful. The Chola king says, why don't you become my daughter-in-law? You marry my son. But in the meantime, she comes to know that people in Java, that is Indonesia, are suffering from famine. And she said, no, I want to serve them. So give me some money. She collected money. She took all medicinal plants from India in the ship. She traveled from India to Sri Lanka to Singapore, and from there she went to Java, and she worked for the distressed people of Indonesia. She gave them food, she gave them medicine, and in Indonesia and Southeast Asia, temples have been built for Mani Mekhala. She is worshipped there as a lady. She should be considered as the first nurse of the world. We give lot of respect to Florence Nightingale, who lived only 150 years before. But I am telling of a girl who lived 1500 years before. She did not marry. She became a sannyasini or bhikkhuni, went all the way to serve non-Indian community, that is Indonesians. In fact, there should be a statue for Devi Manimekhala all over the world. At least Indian hospitals, Indian nursing colleges should have, and all the oath the boys and the girls in the nursing college should take in the name of Devi Manimekhala. I hope when this my speech reaches public, there will be an awareness to create an Manimekhala as the national icon of, especially in the health field. To think of an 18-year-old girl going all the way to an unknown country and serving them. Then we come to 500 CE. In the year 500, the Chola king, one astrologer predicted Chola king had 3 sons. He said that the middle son will become a great emperor. Hearing this, there is a tradition in our India that the eldest son alone should become the king. So this second son said, I do not want to be a hurdle in the race for who will become the king. I will withdraw from this. So he goes to a Buddhist temple, becomes a Buddhist monk, and he is named. When he takes sannyasa and after some training, his master tells him, see, you are well versed in martial arts. You know how to go through jungles, and so please go to China, not by the sea route, but go by the land route. So he traveled from Kanchipuram, that is Tamil Nadu, and Mahamallapuram. These are all twin cities in near to Chennai. From there, he went all the way north to Himalayas, crossed the Mount Everest, perhaps Mount Kailash, perhaps some of the mountains, Kanchenjunga, went to China and went there. And then from there, he went to a place called Shaolin Hills, Shaolin Caves. He met the people there and he wanted to convey them medicine and martial arts. He is the father of Chinese martial arts. He taught them 16 types of martial arts. Kung Fu, Karate, etc. all come from him. Then he taught them how to do meditation. The word for meditation in Sanskrit or in Tamil is Dhyanam. Dhyana. So the type of Buddhism that he taught is called Dhyana Buddhism. But he also taught them Ayurveda, life-saving, because there was a pandemic at that time in China. He cured millions of people through his medicine, herbal medicine. So he is also called, in a way, he is called the father of the nation. China's father of the nation happens to be an Indian. How many Indians are aware of it? Because he saved their lives through his knowledge of this Siddha Vaidya, Ayurveda, martial arts, yoga, meditation. The meditation that he taught them, initially it was called the word for meditation in Tamil is dhyana, then it becomes chana. So in China, they can't pronounce dhyana, so they started saying chan. And you would have known that there is a film actor in Hollywood, he is the highest paid actor in the whole of Asia along with Rajinikanth. These two people have the highest payment. He is called Jackie Chan. What is the meaning of Chan? Chan is the corrupt form of Dhyan. Then after this, Bodhidharma died. His disciples started constructing his temple. And it is said that almost every town, every village of that age has a temple for Bodhidharma. In fact, in China, they have the highest number of temples for Lord Buddha and Bodhidharma, both are Indians. And then his disciples took this Chan Buddhism to Japan. In Japan, the name and Korea, got changed from Dhyana, it became Chan. Chan, it became Zen, Zen Buddhism. Again, with this, all our Ayurveda traveled from here to Korea to Japan. You can see Bodhidharma had taken it far and wide. So this is another way how our Indian medicine system has influenced the eastern countries. Now we come to something happened in the year 550 in the to the west of India is a country, Iran. In the ancient time, it is called Persian country, Persian Empire. So the king of that Persia, his name was Khosrau I. This king called Khosrau, he came to know that in India there is a medicine called Sanjeevani. In fact, this Ramayana, it talks of Sanjeevani, that is the Sanjeevani booty or Sanjeevani herbs which Hanumanji carried to revive Lakshmana, who was presumed to be dead. So they thought that this Sanjeevani is a medicine that can make dead people alive. So Khosrau sent his minister Borzua. His name is Borzouye, Borzouye, and told him bring Sanjeevani to Persia because every time there is a war, our soldiers are dying. So with this Sanjeevani, so this Borzouye tried his best to find where is Sanjeevani available. He could not find Sanjeevani, but in the process he contacted so many medical Ayurvedic doctors. With the help of these Ayurvedic doctors, the king Khosrau established an academy. That means in the modern world, you can say a university. That university is called in a place called Gondishpur. So Gondishpur Academy was established with the help of Indian doctors. How many doctors here would know this? All happened in 550. Then another thing, interesting thing happened while he was searching for Sanjeevani. He came across another word called Sanjeevika. This word Sanjeevika is the name of a fox in Panchatantra tales. So he started reading Panchatantra, translated that into ancient Persian language. So our book got translated into Persian language. From there, it got translated into Arabic language. From there, it got translated into Hebrew language. From there, it got translated into Latin language. And that is how all the animal tales, Panchatantra is full of animal tales. The animal tales went from India to the whole world or the Western world or the known world at that time through the efforts of this Borzouye and later on various other scholars who translated this. An interesting thing happened in the year 1450. In Germany, a person called John Gutenberg, he invented printing press. And the first book that he printed was, the first book was Bible, and the second book he printed was the Latin version of this Panchatantra. And this Panchatantra went all over the world. Today, we see that there are animated channels all over the world. There will be all the children when they see these animated stories. This Warner Brothers also came with Mickey Mouse, Donald Trump. All these things are versions of the second version, the third version, higher versions of Panchatantra. And every country, every television viewing country in the world has one or two channels exclusively for animated stories. All this Janak is starting from Panchatantra. So in Panchatantra, a lot of Ayurvedic medicines are discussed. We know there is a story in Panchatantra in which a monkey is sitting on top of a particular type of berry. In Hindi, it is called jamun. And in Tamil, it is called nagapadam. It is violet in color. And he is eating those fruits. And he has a friend who is a crocodile. So he offers these fruits to his friend crocodile. This male crocodile goes inside the water and feeds his wife with these sweet gooseberries, you may say, one of those violet berries. So when she eats these violet berries, she said, if that monkey is eating these berries every day, his liver must be very, very tasty. I want to eat him. So now I won't go into the full story, but it tells you a great principle. If you want to keep your liver strong, the Ayurveda says eat this violet gooseberry, this nagapagam, or this fruit. Today we have, for any liver disease, the only medicine that is available is leaf 52, which is an extract of these fruits and this particular fruit and its jamun fruit and its seed. The extract of that is the only medicine available for liver problems. Then it is said that in the year 620, around that period, Muhammad Paigambar had a dental tooth problem and it was cured by an Indian physician. I'm searching for the name of that dentist. I've not been able to find. If somebody can, some of your audience can find and tell me, I'll be very thankful to them. Then we come to 800 CE, Common Era. In the year 800 CE, the first hospital in Baghdad was built by a Sindhi person. We know that in the year 712 AD, Muhammad bin Qasim attacked Sindh and took so many, murdered lakhs of people, he raped so many women, but he took lakhs of people as slaves to build the city of Baghdad. The Baghdad city was built by Indian engineers and Indian workers, and then Baghdad, they also built the first hospital, Bimaristan it is called. The Baghdad itself is a Sanskrit word. Bhag is short form for Bhagwan, and Da is Dana, means gift. So Baghdad, if you see into internet, what is the meaning of Baghdad etymology, they will show it is a gift of God. It is only in Sanskrit that Bhag is Bhagwan and Da is Dana, gift of God. So it shows that it has a Sanskrit or Indian origin. It was built by the Sindhis in the year 800. In his at that time, they had also taken a person called Kanha. He was a great Sanskrit scholar, and Kanha and Al Faridi, that knowledge from to Arabic language, from to Hebrew language, from there to Latin language, when the Arabs conquered Spain in the 13th century. So this is the route I'm saying in short. Then we come to the year 1530. We know in 1498, then in another 10 years, they had Goa, Portuguese kingdom in Goa. So when they were ruling Goa, they were with various Rathas and with the sultans before Sultan, etc. Many of them just got injured. They had to be treated. So they wrote to the king in Portugal and a doctor. So from the doctor came is Garcia di Orta. In Goa, there is a garden in the Garcia di Orta who came in the year 1500. And he lived here and he died here in the year 66. Garcia di Orta, his sister, his mother, and all came here. While he was treating the Portuguese soldiers, he would also spare time and treat Indians if they needed. So one of the patients told that I am having cough and cold. But they got cured, but I am still suffering. Please help me. So he was very curious. How did they become all that we make kashaya with these jadi booties? These herbs we cook, we boil and make some local medicine. So he noted down all these things. He went house to house collecting information on medical system, and he published the first medical book in Portuguese. Subsequently, it was translated into Latin, into German, into English, and various European countries. And that is how all the knowledge that we had went to Europe. And when this, also the Europeans came to know that India is a treasure house of medical science. and they never had medical science advanced. You know, in Europe, before our knowledge went there, there are two eyes, and therefore there is a partition in the body, and therefore while cutting a brinjal, while cutting onion, if the finger is cut in the left hand and little bit of blood has flown, so the patient will collect that much of blood in a bottle and go to the doctor and show this much of blood from my left finger has gone. The doctor, all he would do is he'll cut his right hand finger, remove equal amount of blood. In the process, if more blood is collected, then the answer is very simple. Again, cut the left hand. So like that, he'll go on cutting. Sometimes the patient will die on the table itself. So the treatment was worse than the disease. So this was their knowledge about the blood circulation system. But we knew this blood, circulation of blood much before the great Englishman William Harvey about the circulatory system of the blood. So at least 3000 years before William Harvey also we knew the circulatory system in India. So you can see how primitive the medical system was in Arabia or in Europe before our books went there. So Garcia de Orta is a pioneer. Then we come in the year 1684 to 1699. At that time, the governor of Chennai was East India Company man called Elihu Yale. This man Elihu Yale made lot of money by illegally transporting Tamil children as slaves to various countries. It is a shame that a Yale University exists in America. It is a shame because the money was made by illegally taking Tamil children and selling them around the world. He made a law that every ship that leaves Chennai port should have at least 10 Tamil slaves. So these are all the way. He also established the first British hospital in Chennai. So, something to do with medical science. Then he invited lot of to study the indigenous system. So these people who came during his time to study India's medical system, they came to know that smallpox is corrected in Tamil Nadu in a called cowpox. That means when somebody catches smallpox, then little bit of blood is taken from his body and injected into a cow. The cow will fall sick for some time, but cow being very strong and robust will be able to overcome the disease. And when it fights the disease, then again some blood sample is taken from the cow because this blood sample will have lot of white corpuscles which won the war against smallpox and therefore they are very strong. So that is diluted with good water and then injected into all the people living in the village. So this is called vaccination. This vaccination was known. Today everybody is trying to find a vaccine for corona. The first vaccine for smallpox or the word vaccine itself came from Tamil Nadu, this medical science. But who talks about all these things? Very hardly, even the Indians do not know. That's why I am giving little explaining it step by step so that people will take it further and we see that these are all included in our curriculum. Then we come to, we simply give credit to Edward Jenner. But how did Edward Jenner come? It all because the East India Company had invited various doctors or quacks to come to Tamil Nadu, learn this and go there. So knowledge went from here to there. Then even before this, at the time of Vijayanagar Samrajya, Marco Polo came here as a traveler. He was an Italian. He took lot of books from here to Italy and there the Italian people, they learned many of our medical system, but hiding the fact that they learned it from India, they started marketing in their name. So this art of Sushruta's plastic surgery was also carried from India to Italy, and you know what Italians are famous for. Marconi is a thief. He stole the transducer and the receiver of Jagdish Chandra Bose and patented radio in his name. He was also an Italian. So many Italians have cheated India, and still we think I for India and I for Italy. We think that Italians will bring grace to our country. Now we come to now modern age. In the year 1762, a person from Uttar Pradesh or Bengal. Now, what was he great? He knew what is called tail malish champi. You know, there was a movie in the 50s called Pyasam. Gurudat was acting, Rahman was acting, Mala Singh in that. The picture was made by Gurudat. It was famous for the songs that were there. Even Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru cried for one of the songs. So Johnny Walker sings in a humorous way, तेल मालिश चंपी सर जो तेरा चकराए या दिल डूबा जाए आजा प्यारे पास हमारे काहे घबराए. And there he applies oil and molishes the head. By molishing the head properly, lot of disease vanish. This is now used all over the world as Turkish bath, Turkish massage, and various names are given. Massage, this massage treatment is also an Indian gift to medical science, and that went to England in the year 1760. And very quickly, this man became a millionaire and returned to India. So, Tel Malish, Sanskrit words gone into English language. We come in the year 1840. There was a Maharashtrian doctor. He became colonel in East India Company. He was also a medical doctor. East India Company sent him to, along with the troops, to Oman. While he was in Oman, he also had lot of interest in biology. So he went on observing various insects, animals, lizards, goats, and in the ocean, the various oceanographic creatures, so seahorse, etc., and then started classifying them. His name was Dr. or Major Jaikar. Later on, he became Colonel. Colonel Jaikar, now because of his name is Jaikar, that is a Maharashtrian name, Atmaram Jaikar, all the species that he identified, hundreds of species that he identified, they end with the name Jayakari. The goat in Oman will be called goat Jayakari, lizard Jayakari, seahorse Jayakari, etc. So many Jayakaris he found, and he did not find a single name in Indian medical textbook. What an unfortunate thing. I'm telling you various things that are missing in our curriculum. People, if only our Indian children are taught this, they will win. Every year you will find so many Indians winning Nobel Prizes because mentally very strong and be very proud to be Indians. Now I'll continue now. Dr. Praful Chandra Ray, a great pharmacist, he comes with the first pharmaceutical company in India. It is called the Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals in 1901. He also wrote a book called Hindu Chemistry. Praful Chandra Ray, that he gave that ancient Indians had chemistry, they had physics, they had mathematics. So he comes with that Hindu chemistry. Today, in his lab only, the most needed drug is produced and it is sent to all over the world, life-saving, called Hi. In the 1902, a person called Ronald Ross, Dr. Ronald Ross, got a Nobel Prize for finding the medicine for malaria. Malaria is a killer disease. In 1902, it was a killer disease. It remains a killer disease even today. So many people around the world, including Africa and America and South America, die in large numbers because of this malaria. And Nobel Prize to Ronald Ross was given in the year 1902 for this quinine, which is the medicine for malaria. Now, this is another fraud. This man, Ronald Ross, though he is not an Italian, is fraud because real work was done by Dr. Kishori Mohan Bandhu, but the credit is taken by Ronald Ross. He told Dr. Kishori Mohan Bandyopadhyay, I come to know that you have come with a new drug and you are going village to village giving this drug and saving the lives of people. Why don't you give me your article? I will see to it that you will get a gold medal from the emperor, that is the king of England. So he gave all these writings to him. He got the gold medal from England king in Calcutta. Calcutta was the capital of India, and there the governor general or viceroy, and he was given that gold medal from the king. But what he did was, whatever article he wrote in praise of this medicine, he removed the name of Kishori Mohan Bandyopadhyay, put his name and sent it to Nobel Committee and took the Nobel Prize. Many great scholars like Dr. Jagdish Chandra Bose and Dr. Praful Chandra Ray, Dr. B.C. Roy, they said this is daylight robbery. All the hard work, the research work is done by Kishori Mohan Bandyopadhyay, and this Donald Ross takes away all the credit. But then India was at that time a slave country. It was colonized by the Britishers and they had the military power. They had the bullets with them. Now what to do? But today we are a free country. Why not we fight for why not we restore the glory of Kishori Mohan Bandyopadhyay and cancel the name of Dr. Ronald Ross from the Nobel Laureates list, add his name to all the thieves and the dacoits of this country. Coming back, in the year 1922, Dr. Upendra Nath Brahmachari, he comes with a medicine called Kala Azar. Kala Azar is a disease in those days. So many people were dying. For his innovations, for his inventions, he was nominated for Nobel Prize twice, but rejected. There are so many people who have been nominated for Nobel Prize. They did not get the Nobel Prize because India was a slave country. Now, who will speak for them? Who will speak for their greatness? So, this is one more person was Upendranath Brahmachari, who should have got a Nobel Prize, but 1938 to 1942. In these days, when India and China are at loggerheads and Chinese President Li Jinping has already ordered PLA, People's Liberation Army, to march to India and attack, we should be able to propagate this in Mandarin language and tell them what India has given to China. In the year 1938, there was a great epidemic in China. War between China and Japan had broken, and because of that war, so many people dying, there was an epidemic. When the news comes in the radio, a young doctor from Sholapur, that is Maharashtra, his name is Dr. Dwarkanath Kotnis. He says, I am a doctor and people are dying in China. I will go to China. His friends, war is going on between Chinese and the Japanese. When you go to the war area, Japanese will mistake you as a Chinese agent and they may kill you. The Chinese may mistake you as a Japanese spy and they will kill you. But why are you going to risk? You do not know their food habits, you do not know their language, you do not know anything. He said, you may have 100 reasons for me not to go to China. I have only one reason for going. I am a doctor and they are the patients. I am going there to treat them. There in 1938, when doctors were very rare in their country as well as he went there, and in the year 1944 he died. Of course, he died on natural cause, nothing to do with the Japanese or the Chinese mistaking him as a spy or something. He died in a normal way. But the Chinese government at that time, Mao Zedong, wrote a personal letter to his sisters, personal letter praising the brave activity of Dr. Dwarkanath Kotnis. He wrote in the newspapers, and a memorial has been created for him. Two times, the Chinese government has released stamps in the name of Dr. Dwarkanath Kotnis. Just as 2000 years before, Manimekhala from Tamil Nadu went to Indonesia and saved millions of lives, same way thousands Dwarkanath Kotnis, a great Indian film producer, his name is, I forget his name, Shantaram, he made a picture in his name that is called Dr. Kotnis Ki Amar Kahani, released by Shantaram. Then in the year 1948 we come. A young boy from Andhra Pradesh, very poor family. He went for studies to USA through scholarships and friends helping him. And slowly he became one of the greatest scientists of America. The medicine that he discovered in his lab is still being used. I'm talking of 1948 and still being used for cancer treatment today. You can understand. Like that for various other diseases, Yella Subbarao, Dr. Yellapragada Subbarao made various inventions for which at least 2 Nobel Prizes should have been given, but he has been denied. Now you can just see a contemporary of Subbarao was a rogue number one called Cyrus Fiske. What he did was he suppressed and destroyed many of his important works out of jealousy, out of envy. Subbaro's colleague, another admitted some of the nucleotides isolated by Subbarao had to be rediscovered years later by other workers because Fiske, apparently out of jealousy, did not let Subbarao's contribution see the light of the day. Destroyed all those things. A fungus genus has been named Subbaromycin in his honor. 1915 issue of Argosy, Doronke and Trim observed, you have probably never heard of Dr. Yellapragada Subbarao, but thank God. Yet because he lived, you are alive today. And because he lived, you are well today. Because he lived, you are living longer today. So you can understand how great Subbarao was, but he is forgotten great medical doctors of India. Then year 1968, Dr. Hargobind Khurana, he got a Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize, the website states that it was for his interpretation of the genetic code and its function in protein synthesis. So he was a DNA genes he had isolated. Khurana finally got when India became independent in the year 1968. Then another tragic thing happened in 1978. Dr. Subhash Mukherjee is he created the world's second and India's first child using in vitro fertilization, that is test tube baby. Now you know Shah Rukh Khan has a child called Rawa. in the IVF. Should have got word recognition. Unfortunately, he got nothing. So finally, he committed suicide. The daughter that he created in his test tube, her name is Durga, or called Kanupriya Agarwal. She was born in the year 1978, and just 67 days after the first IVF baby was born in United Kingdom. So between UK and India, the difference was only 67 days, unfortunately. Afterwards, Subhash Mukhopadhyay was harassed by the then Bengal state government and Indian government, and they did not allow his publications. So international, he was dejected and he committed suicide in the year 1981. That means when his child was only 3 years old. Then comes to his feat has been given belated recognition. What happened is later on one doctor called T.C. Anand Kumar comes with a child, test tube baby. So Anand Kumar was hailed as the first test tube child father, or coming with a new baby. So when he was honored in Bengaluru, one of the friends of Dr. Subhash Mukhopadhyay, he came and told him that, sir, you are not the first. My friend, he committed suicide, but his diary is with me. Please go through his diary. Please bring him some recognition. So he goes through the diary, this Anand Kumar, and just see the greatness of this Anand Kumar. Whatever medal was given to him as the first creator of the first test tube baby, he returned it to Government of India, saying that the real father of this science is this Subhash, what I said, Mukherjee. So, Dr. Subhash Mukherjee. So he restored the name of Subhash Mukherjee, belated, but we should also think that we want more such Anand Kumars who are ready to even go and return their gold medal in favor of another person. So this is a great story. A film, Ek Doctor Ki Mouth, was produced by Tasin on him. Now we come to a living legend called Dr. Rangaswamy Srinivasan, another unfortunate person. He is so much respected in America. He is still alive at the age of 93. In America, they have a hall of fame for scientists. Those scientists who lived in America and contributed something in medical science, there is a place called Hall of Science. There they have got various scientists' statues. Einstein will be there, Thomas Alva Edison will be there. Along with that, there's only one Indian is Dr. Rangaswamy Srinivasan. Now, what did he do? And hardly anybody in India would know who is Rangaswamy Srinivasan. I have not come across a statue for Rangaswamy Srinivasan anywhere in India, leave alone statue. His photo also I have not seen, but his statue is there and regarded as one of the great scientists. What did he do in medical science? Today, millions of people, their eyesight has been restored by what is called LASIK eye surgery. This LASIK eye surgery was a creation of Dr. Rangaswamy Srinivasan. Then he sold his patent to IBM, and therefore it went all over the world and millions of people got cured. So somebody asked Rangaswamy Srinivasan, you sold your patent for a pittance, for such a small money. How do you feel about it? He said, money is a small thing, but because by selling it to IBM, the treatment has gone to millions and millions of people in South America, in Central America, in Africa, in Asia, in poor countries, where their eyesight has been restored. Silently, they are praying for me. For me, that is the biggest wealth I have got. leave alone dollars in terms. This cannot be measured in terms of dollars. So this is how an Indian thinks. So this is he got a National Medal of Technology from President Obama in 2013. Now, I have told you various names. One more name to be remembered today is our Health Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan. Thanks to his efforts, polio has been eradicated from India, but it has not been eradicated from Pakistan. So there is every time a chance that polio may come from Pakistanis to India. So we should be careful. We should not allow Pakistanis to play in any of our cricket matches because polio may again restart. It's a dreadful disease. You know how horrible the children suffer from polio. So never allow any Pakistani to come to India. Then this Dr. Harshavardhan has been fighting against the corona. All the media will tell you a wrong story. They will say the total number of patients in corona cases is 79 lakhs in America, that is number one, and 70 lakhs in India is number two. So India is second worst in number of COVID patients. This is only half the story. It is telling lies. These people don't tell you the real story, the full story. What is the full story? The total population of India is 4 times more than that of America. America's land surface area is so big that the density of population in America and India the density is 13 times more. Then the total number of cases per 10 lakhs of population in America, it is 5 times more than that of India. The number of death in India is for 10 lakh population, 78 people are dying. 700 people are dying in America. That is nearly 10 times more people are dying in other advanced countries like America. And still people want to criticize India. So the person who has been fighting for this day and night, Dr. Harshavardhan, now the World Health Organization has appointed him as the chairman of WHO, World Health Organizations. So this is all the success story of the great Indian medicine practitioners. Once again, I let you tell you that Dr. of Connecticut has received 100 salutations from the top people of her city. So we salute her. We have such great, brave hearts. And same America, Rangaswamy Srinivasan is still alive. The man who was able to cure this LASIK eye surgery. I request every Indian eye hospital, every eye clinic, every eye surgeon to keep a photo of Dr. Rangaswamy Srinivasan in his house, in his clinic, in his hospital, in his ward. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you very much. Well, I'll add a few more things. In this corona, some of our people have done tremendous work in health field. That is, we gave maximum number of 50 million tablets of hydroxychloroquine to America alone, and we gave to many. Then today in this pandemic time, Angelina Merkel of the Chancellor, that the President of Germany is advocating, please don't eat meat at least once a week. So observe meatless Mondays. Vegetarian food is very good. So she is propagating vegetarian food. Everyone is talking of Namaste. Prince Charles is saying Namaste. Even Donald Trump, when he meets presidents of various countries, he folds his hands and says Namaste. So this has also gone around the world. Then in Cochin, our people are using robots and drones, Marut drones. This robot is kept in front of public places like bus stand or factory entrance. And when you put your hand in front of the robot, it gives you the soap for washing your hands, sanitizer, and it also gives you instructions that is required for making distances, etc. Then they have used a drone for carrying food and medicine to people who are in quarantine so that the nurses need not be troubled. So this drone technology is used in their hospitals, and so these things are required. Then these are the days when you need now the pharma in China will come to an end because of the war between India and China and rest of the world. The world is looking to India for pharmaceutical products. A great change will take place. I think the world after Corona will be India centric and not China centric. So we have to come with various products in every field, including health system. So I'll stop here and now Jai Shri Ram and Dhanyavad. Thank you. हाँ जी